Our democracy is relentlessly and increasingly democratic. We abhor and despise differences and inequalities of all kinds. We don't like restraints on the popular will. We don't even like any more constraints upon publication. Everyone has their own Twitter feed. Everyone has their own Facebook page. And we're doing this and arriving at this, what I would call late stage democracy, at a particular moment in history and in time. Let me explain what I mean by that. In many ways, this has been a long time coming. You can see it, first of all, in the very structural divides of American society. The paradox of the great success of America is that it's become the victim of its own success. By success, I mean the extraordinary post-war, post-Second World War program to educate most Americans in a way they had never been educated before, to go out there and to find the young and the able and the intelligent and bring them into mass education for the first time, along with those who were being demobbed from the war, to create a really universally informed populace that would then go on to college to finesse their skills and run the society with their abilities. And it worked quite brilliantly. It was like they had a sieve that went through all of America to find the smartest and the most able people and brought them into higher education, unleashing so much talent and ability and wealth and growth at the same time. But at the same time, who was left behind? And at the same time, did those people go back to where they came from, or were they quite comfortable in their big colleges and their major urban centers, where they got to live and be with each other and sustain a highly intelligent and cultured and multicultural way of life? So increasingly over time, these two Americas began to differentiate from themselves. What we might call the cognitive elite and those who are the rest of America. The divide between the college-educated and the non-college educated, which is at this point one of the strongest predictors of politics and culture in this society. And what we were creating was two countries that really were in danger of not even knowing each other or understanding each other. And we also created technologies that allowed us, through social media, to talk only to ourselves, so that the shutting off of the other part of America became even more complete. At the same time, those who were not college educated were enduring a shift of an economy that was really quite remarkable. Globalization, free trade, and technology, all together, three massive forces in the world economy, came in and slowly made it so much more lucrative to be a nerd in this society, gave the cognitive elite a massive advantage over everybody else, and rendered the value of unskilled labor, the basic stuff that most Americans use, educated or not educated, to get ahead, to build their lives, and be part of this great project of America. Those people, the people in that situation, have not had a pay raise really since the end of the 1970s. Meanwhile, the growth unleashed by the global trading environment, bringing China into the WTO, and also the rewards of a global market, especially in technology, funneled all the wealth right into the cognitive elite and increasingly to the very top of the cognitive elite. The benefits of this globally were massive. We have seen the greatest rise in living standards for people in the developing world that we've ever seen. Massive reductions in poverty, child mortality. In many ways, globalization is a huge success. But there was one group in the society that didn't, and that was the non-college educated. They knew And they know the worst thing you can find out about yourself, that you're not needed anymore. Machines can do what you used to do. The world is global, not local. Your wages will never go up. Even those who used to have lower paid but meaningful work, people who made things, welders, builders, construction workers, people who did tangible things in their community and were rewarded and had status for that, had that slowly stripped away, as well as their financial stability. And then the Great Recession came in 2008, and it looked even worse. And as they recovered, and as the country recovered, they stayed exactly where they were, and every banker in the country just went back to their bonuses, and the shift of resources to the very top 1% or even 10% of the society became even more intense. At the same time, you had an extraordinary experiment in mass migration in the world. So while all this is taking place in a late-stage democracy, you also had the biggest influx of non-citizens into the United States in history, numerically. We now have something close to 14% of the country as foreign-born. I'm one of them. I am not anti-immigrant at all. I've lived that immigration dream. But the truth is that those people were often of very different culture, different race, different language. Yes, they could be integrated the way America always integrates, but there was a very great deal of them, and they were coming into unskilled labor, increasing the pool of labor, which meant they could be paid less, and the stagnation of the white working classes or the non-white working classes was deepened. And the vast majority of this immigration was actually not done according to the law. This is a recipe, obviously, for resentment. Beleaguered by the elites, suddenly being replaced by other people, seeing your country change dramatically in its demographic composition. It's not just in the US either. If you look at Europe and you see the mass migration from the South into Western Europe, you see very similar patterns. In the United Kingdom, for example, which is going through a similar crisis as we are here, mass immigration has altered politics there overwhelmingly. In 1 year, in 2015, more people gross immigrated into the UK than immigrated between 1066 and 1950. Almost 40% of the population of London wasn't born in the United Kingdom. And that's happened in like 20 years. Of course, you're going to have a response to this, a reaction to this, and a fear of this.